Hi everyone. Today I'm going to continue on with 1972 movies, my discussions of films from 50 years ago. I only have a few left, and I think I've got 3 or 4 more after today's film, which is one of the biggies of 1972. I haven't talked about the two biggies, and one of them being the biggie of all time, but I will get to that soon. But today I want to talk about Cabaret. And this was a musical from a Broadway musical directed by Bob Fosse, starring Liza Minnelli, Joel Grey, Michael York. And it has the distinction for its year of winning 8 Academy Awards. Now, Liza Minnelli won for Best Actress, Joel Grey Best Supporting Actor, Bob Fosse won for Best Director. So it won 8 Academy Awards, but it did not win Best Picture. And I think it still holds the record for most number of Oscars won without winning Best Picture. So what was Best Picture that year? Well, it was indeed The Godfather, won for Best Picture. And some of these were upset wins. For instance, Joel Grey won Best Supporting Actor. Al Pacino was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for The Godfather because Marlon Brando was in the Best Actor category. Joel Grey says in the supplement, there was no way I thought I was ever going to win the Oscar. Al Pacino seemed to be a cinch. And Bob Fosse beating out Francis Coppola for Best Director. That too was a big upset. So it's from a musical with songs by Kander and Ebb, fantastic songs I might add. And really, it broke new ground in the sense that it got all this award, Best Picture type award recognition, even though it was a musical. Musicals had in 1972 had run their course. There have been some big budget movies, Star and Bob Fosse's own Sweet Charity, that nobody went to see anymore. This was the era of the Vietnam War and the changing mores of society, and the old-fashioned musical where people were walking down the street and all of a sudden break into song. People didn't want to see that anymore. They wanted realism, naturalism. So this is set, and Cabaret is set in the waning years of the Weimar German Republic, early 1930s. We see Nazis in the background and the rise of Nazism. Hitler does not attain power, I think, till about 1933. And Liza Minnelli plays Sally Bowles, and this came from Berlin Stories by Christopher Isherwood. Sally Bowles was based on his best friend that he had a platonic relationship with while he was living in Berlin of that era. And it's also, those stories were also adopted into a stage play by John Van Druten called I Am a Camera. So it's set in 2 main locations, boarding house where Sally Bowles lives and where Michael York comes to teach English to German students. He's down on his luck. He is studying for a doctorate at Cambridge, though we don't see him doing much studying in this movie. So it's set between the Kit Kat Club, the Cabaret where Sally Bowles is performing, and this boarding house. And so it's breaking new ground, which is the reason why the movie got as much recognition as it did, because in the stage play, it was a traditional musical. I've seen it on stage, and I saw it in a regional theater, excellent production, where the audience actually becomes interactive with the performers, especially the Master of Ceremonies, the Joel Grey character. He was roaming up and down the aisles. I had an aisle seat, but he passed me by in his interactions with the audience. So this was something different. So all the songs in Cabaret are, except for one very significant song, are performed on stage. And it's a very cramped stage, so there's a claustrophobic feel to the stage. Um, and it's very much edited in the sense that in old-fashioned musicals, especially Fred Astaire musicals, where he didn't want any cuts at all, and he wanted a full frame of him dancing to give the audience the sensation of seeing Fred Astaire dancing on stage. Not so in in Cabaret. This is very much a artistically edited film. I think the editor won an Academy Award as well. So this was different. And also we get a serious subject, and certainly we see the Nazis in the background, but in the rising of it, as they become more and more important as the film goes by. And the one song that is not on the stage of the Kit Kat Club is they're at a rural cafe, outdoor cafe, and a young man gets up and starts singing an anthem-like song called "Tomorrow Belongs to Me." And as the camera pans down from his face, we see that he has the Nazi insignia on his armband. And as he's singing this song, people start singing with him. And we see, and this is this is written by Kander and Ebb. This was not actually a Nazi anthem, but it's written as such. And we see young people get up, older people get up, join in the singing. Really apt metaphor for the appeal, the patriotic, nationalistic appeal, that the euphoria that sweeps over the crowd. So we go from this one young man singing to the whole cafe singing along with him. And there's other serious topics also being brought up here: the bisexuality, transgender, and the sheer kind of decadent feeling of the Kit Kat Club. We had not seen this in Hollywood musicals before. And Joel Grey, who came with the property, there was no way this film was not going to be made without Joel Grey. But he has no lines in the film. He won the Best Supporting Actor, but for his performance on the stage of the Kit Kat Club, he's not otherwise a character at all in the movie. I got to mention Marissa Berenson. This is her first movie where she had a speaking part. I think she shows up in Death in Venice in one scene, but she doesn't speak. She's just impossibly beautiful here, and that is an addition. I think her storyline was actually in Christopher Isherwood's stories, but it was not in the stage play. So they did make some differences. For instance, the landlady of the boarding house and one of her boarders have a romance, and I think they have 3 songs, and that whole element of the stage play was not used in the film. So Kander and Ebb wrote some other songs. One was that Nazi anthem. And then they write another song for Liza Minnelli, where she, like a signature song for her, where she's all alone on the stage. Because Liza Minnelli did not play this part on stage. And I think everybody sort of kind of assumes that she was the original production. Only Joel Grey came from the Broadway production. And normally Sally Bowles would be played by an actress who was not actually a singer, known as a singer. Jill Hayworth was the original Sally Bowles, and she did not sing great. I'm sure she was good enough. And that's been sort of the tradition as far as the stage play goes. But in the movie, we have Liza Minnelli, and like I say, there's one song that that Kander and Ebb have written especially for Liza Minnelli, and she just belts it out, Judy Garland style. Now, somebody of that magnitude of talent as Liza Minnelli would not be performing in some dive cabaret. I mean, she would be an absolute sensation in Berlin. So even though they go for realism, it's not quite realistic in the sense that this is not the normal cabaret singer that you're going to see. She looks great. She sings great. She had been in, this is her first singing role in the movies. She had won a Tony, I believe, for a earlier Broadway stage play that I can't remember the name of. She went to her father, Vincent Minnelli, one of the great Hollywood directors, and she wanted to know what her look should be, and she had different ideas, and her father told her, go for Louise Brooks. Louise Brooks was an American actress working in Germany in the early 30s with that specific hairstyle. So that's the look that Liza brings to the film. And Fosse was, you can see Bob Fosse in various musicals, in small roles in various musicals. He directed, he actually directed a few musicals as well. Sweet Charity was his first film, and that was one of the musicals that was a gigantic bomb. It starred his wife at the time, Gwen Verdon. So the producer, Cy Feuer, who was a Broadway producer, this was his first film that he was going to produce himself, and had worked with Fosse in many, and Fosse had been in movies and Broadway, well known as a great choreographer. Fosse and Cy Feuer really wanted him, so wanted Fosse to direct this film. And Fosse only, I think, made 3 more movies. He made Lenny, about Lenny Bruce with Dustin Hoffman. He made All That Jazz with Roy Scheider, a very autobiographical film, very unique film. And his last film was Star 80, about the Dorothy Stratton murder case that involved Peter Bogdanovich. And in this year, he wins the Oscar for Best Director. He won an Emmy for a television special, and he won the Tony for his production of Pippin. So he won the Triple Crown of significant American artistic awards. That has been done before, but nobody's ever done it in the same year. So Fosse did it all in 1 year. There are some good extras on this film. On this Warner Archive release, it did not get a 50th anniversary. This was the 40th anniversary edition with the commentary by Stephen Strapiano. I think wrote a biography of Bob Fosse. It's got a couple really good looking back, making of documentaries, I think from '97 and again from 2012 with Liza Minnelli, Michael York. Bob Fosse died in 1987, somewhere in the late 80s at only 60 years old. But it hasn't received the 50th anniversary, and I think The Godfather, 1776, another musical that actually was a hit musical, I believe. I'm not going to have time to cover 1776. That got a 50th anniversary on 4K. There may be one other movie from 50 years ago that got a anniversary, 50th anniversary edition, special edition. This was from 2018, but it's exactly the same edition as the 40th anniversary from 2012. So it's Germany, Weimar. It's got lots of songs. It's realistic to a certain extent. If you want to really see, I can't pass by an opportunity to tout a 1930 movie from Robert Siodmak, a boarding house, not a musical, but a boarding house. You want to see what the Weimar Republic in the waning years and the poverty. This is really an excellent movie, and it's included on the Kino Lorber Winter Wonderland sale, which I think has a few more days to go. So 3 more movies to go in 1972, and then I'm going to do I think 4 more movies, and then I'm going to do a wrap-up. Okay, thanks a lot for everybody who managed to listen. I do appreciate it. Comments are welcome. Take care.